We got to find these damn kids. And this is, I think, what we need to focus a lot of our energy on. Not just we here on the podcast, but the listeners at home. 800,000 children a year go missing. And the liberal mainstream media will tell you that 99% of them are found, but that's lies. Where are our kids? Juniper, where are our kids?
I don't know. We have to find them. We have to go to Colombia. We have to go to Central America. You have to go.
I think you might be right. Caleb, where are the kids? Where can we find the kids?
I don't know, but I know who to ask, and that is a Utah-based psychic named Janet that might be very helpful for us.
Oh my God, Janet. Well, so glad that we have a journalist here who can uncover the secrets of Janet the psychic and the Mormon guy with 35 kids who goes to South America to harass people. Miles, Mr. Klee of the Rolling Stone, how are you?
Something must be done.
Thank you. Thank you. Amen. Amen, brother. Amen. We did indeed watch the film.
Yeah, we all watched it.
What
Freedom,
was it called?
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom. I was like, I literally just watched it.
You want to take that again, bud?
No, I'm good.
You don't remember the titular line drop?
I do. Oh, yeah.
This movie has heavy pacing issues. It is a mess from beginning to end.
Yeah, no, my main thing that I wanted to just get out straight away, like we'll talk a lot about the film, I think, and a lot of the background, but the main crime with this film is how boring it is.
It's very boring.
It's so boring.
Now, to be fair to the film, Juniper and I watched it on a cam rip with advertisements for an illegal gambling site for most of it.
Which was really funny because like it would be a really serious moment and like it would be overlaid over the movie with like slot machines. Oh, like you can gamble. So it was kind of like funny when it would
the
pop
village
up.
or whatever.
Actually, there's an overlay like at the very last shot where the little girl's like playing in bed and she's all dressed in white and the light's coming through the window and it's like play free slots at this slot machine website.
I like audibly laughed at that shit and like right at the end there.
Yeah, and the rip that we had cut-ins commercials and the audio was not normalized. So you have it fucking cranked for the movie because it's too quiet, and then they just come in with this loud ass slot machine advertisement.
I think I'm gonna lose my hearing after experiencing that. Yeah,
it was brutal. Yes, but we did watch Jim Caviezel, who directed and starred in.
You guys did that to yourselves for whatever that's worth.
Caleb, why don't you tell us what you did to yourself?
And Miles, let's be clear. Miles also, I assume you also did the same thing.
I wish I had done it your way.
Miles, my experience was pretty similar to yours. So I did what I normally do when I go see a movie by myself, and that is I will take an edible in my car as soon as I park, go in, get a little sody pop, and watch. However,
I had Twizzlers.
Twizzlers, there you go. That's a
Twizzlers
classic.
go hard.
I was expecting to be the only person there because it was a Monday matinee, and then it dawned on me who this movie was made for. And the first showing of the day, and my final head count was 36 people in there. I was, despite being in my mid-30s now, I was the youngest person in there probably by about 30 years.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was crazy. Lots of American flag patches and hats. A lot of patriots were in control of the theater.
It was January 6th in the theater.
Dude, it was, except for like if it was like the senior discount at Denny's January 6th, like it was so geriatric.
The old lady who was holding the flag and didn't look like she knew where she was.
Yes, that was it, dude. So I made friends. Actually, that's really funny. When I was in line for my my soda, this old lady in a walker cut me off, and she didn't mean to. She just was like completely unaware because she was unsupervised, and then
she didn't know where she at.
Yeah, she really didn't know. And then so her daughter came and got her. She apologized. It was fine, you know. Her name was Cindy. Really nice. Was talking to her, and we were kind of walking to the theater in the same direction. Shout out to Cindy. And she was like talking about the movie, and I was just kind of curiously kind of chatting, but listening to her talk to her daughter more than that. And she was like they were talking about QAnon openly and loudly, which was crazy. And like this is like not a verbatim quote, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but she was like, oh, what do they call it? He's based. And it was like,
No way, dude.
dude, straight up, this like 90-year-old woman called QAnon based. And this was like right when I started like to get high, and I was like, what the fuck am I in for? I get in there, and then I'll just get into one quick thing, and then we'll talk about the movie. But I just thought, like, just so you guys know what the electric atmosphere was like, that again, jumping ahead a little bit, when they arrested that first kind of like pervert looking pedophile with a bowl cut and the John Lennon glasses.
Oh yeah, like 20 minutes in.
Yeah,
so.
like it right in, like as soon as like they kicked down the door and got him, everybody in the theater started fucking cheering like it was Star Wars.
And if you're like,
no, that's like the most exciting movie of all time they've ever seen. Like they don't see other movies. They don't go see the Spider-Verse. They don't see other movies. This is all they care about.
They've never seen the end of Avengers when the Avengers assemble. This is their version.
Yeah.
They've never seen Captain America wield Mjolnir, but they did see a pedophile get arrested at a diner, and that's basically
which they think
same.
is actually just a documentary. You know what I mean?
And they arrest that guy twice just so that they can clap again. He was already under arrest.
They're playing this. What was that about? Because there's so many
I was
things.
wondering that too.
They arrest him. They set him
Why
up
did
with
they
the
do that?
sting. So this guy gets like unsupervised access to like everybody he arrests, and then like the child. After they free the child, they're just like, I don't know, you the fucking cop. You can have him. You know what I mean? Straight.
And also the
strange.
cop can just be like, I'm a pedophile. And the guy's like, you're not cool enough to be a pedophile.
So was it like a situation where they were like suspicious of him? Because I was under the impression that they had him dead.
They had him
rights
dead to
when they
rights because
first
he was on the dark
arrested
net,
him.
and
He had uploaded child porn to the dark web. That's what they had.
They
had him on charges
FBI.
for 30 years. You don't need to set up another sting operation just to get that guy. Like you can.
Yeah, he was already behind bars. Like I genuinely don't get what that was.
I think what it was, and I guess this is probably a good way we can just kind of stumble through the plot because Jesus Christ. But like, I think the idea was, because remember he was sitting in his car talking to his partners like, we arrest these guys, but we don't actually save any kids, and that's why he was all fucked up about it. So he wanted to like set up the sting so he could rescue the kid with the picture in the book or whatever it was.
Yeah,
wait, is that where he got the?
Yeah, but you could just lean on that guy. Say you're going to give him an agreement and then just welch on it once you get contact with the traffickers. There's no need to get another 12 SWAT guys to swarm a diner.
Well, that might be how it works in Hollywood movies, but remember, this is a real story that actually
I'm sorry. Yeah. We should make allowances for the realism of it.
Yeah.
Because as we know, this is the real life story of real life hero Mark Ballard, who is
Tim Ballard. Sorry,
Tim
Ballard, whatever. Not over. Oh yeah, Timoteo.
She called him just a different, like a generic white person name.
Timoteo.
Yeah, Timoteo. That's right.
Saint Timothy. He is, I assume, the patron saint of white guys who look like Bradley Cooper. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, they got Bradley Cooper, and then I was like, oh shit, they got Rosario Dawson, but they didn't get either of those people, thankfully, for their careers.
No, they got the guy from Passion of the Christ. They literally got Jesus Christ. It's not good enough for people.
So I've never seen that movie. I know it's Mel Gibson.
I've never seen it either.
Yeah, no, that was always like a movie that like my hyper religious like friends growing up like were kind of forced to watch by their like hyper religious parents, and I don't know, that whole thing seemed weird to me. So I don't really know anything about it other than it's like really graphic.
It's really gnarly, and Jim Caviezel was struck by lightning 2 separate times while filming it. And
seriously, like
and he never saw that as a sign. He never was like,
and he was never the same again. He's completely pilled now.
Yeah, and he's also a really boring actor. Like for a lead in this kind of movie, like you got to get what's his name, John Krasinski. Like John Krasinski is made for this kind of role.
Jim,
this is like
Jim. I will say also just like shout out to the big episode QAnon Anonymous did on Jim Caviezel a while back. It's all about how crazy he is, and it's really fucking funny because there's a ton of Hollywood gossip about how Caviezel can't even really remember lines. You might notice in the movie they cut away from him often, like after just a few words, or he doesn't even say anything. And he's known for like he'll do when on his TV show Person of Interest, he was allegedly known for like he couldn't remember stuff, so he'd like stick a Post-it note on the back of an extra's head so he could just read it off someone's head because he couldn't remember the line.
That's kind of awesome.
So I feel like that level of talent really projects through this performance because he is like he's doing basically one emotion the entire time, and he can hardly get the lines out. Like he's a real mumbler too. He can't understand what the fuck he's saying most of the time.
It's so weird because he looks like not a movie star certainly, but he looks like a TV detective star type of guy. But yeah, there is something that sort of like instantly repels any interest or care you might have for what's going on once he starts to speak.
His like entire presence is like made for this type of movie, like military, like he's a spec ops type guy. Like, oh, he's like this military badass, but he doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't provide that.
I have to cape real quick for Jim Caviezel because he is the main character in Terrence Malick's return to filmmaking after like 20 some years absence, The Thin Red Line, just like a meditation on the horrors of war, which stars every actor in the world. It was like a movie that was like everyone wanted to work with Terrence Malick so bad that like every single Hollywood mainstream actor is in this fucking movie, and like many of them shot many scenes and then ended up with like one line in the movie. Like George Clooney shows up for about 90 seconds, but it's like George Clooney, Sean Penn, Nick Nolte, all these fucking people, and Jim Caviezel is the main guy and is very good. And I was like, oh, I'm really excited to see what happens to this dude. And then he got struck by lightning twice, and he's not in the same sense.
and became friends with Mel Gibson. Don't forget.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's not
worse
great
than the lightning. Yeah,
that seems like that seems to be a big mistake on his part.
You can recover from lightning.
You can't recover from Mel Gibson.
Yeah,
no, totally different. But with the like after that first bust, it kind of goes directly into. I forget. Does he get the picture of
from the book? Yeah,
so he gets it from the pedophile book.
Hey guys, as someone who has not seen this movie, I have no clue what you guys are talking about.
So let me set the stage up. Yeah, he goes. So he busts the guy. Then he gains his trust and was like, "I'm secretly a pedophile too. Like, I'll make your charges get reduced or dropped or whatever. All you got to do is like, hook me up with your plug or whatever it was." And I don't quite understand what happened next. And then the next scene is when they're in the diner where he gets arrested twice.
Yeah, I think between that scene, like it doesn't really do a good job of explaining it, but I think there was like a time lapse between that because it seems like the sting was ready.
So he goes from being
immediately.
He goes from being like a Department of Homeland Security like agent of some kind to being a border guard immediately after that. And he's checking people's passports as they cross into Mexico.
I think he's still DHS and just there basically outside of his jurisdiction. I mean, that scene is also totally invented. Like, well, I mean, we need to remember too that all of this shit is made up. So like, he just has he just has kind of like carte blanche as like a federal agent to like go do stuff you're not actually allowed to do. Like there was apparently one of these apparently there was some border bust where they saved this little boy, but he wasn't anywhere near it, and you can tell that because. After this original sting, they set it up so that he's going to save the little boy that he, arranged to have delivered. And he just happens to be at the right place at the right border crossing to spot the guy who has the kid that he recognizes from the picture. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's him. Let's get him.
Yeah. And so one of the main things is like, oh, it's based on a true story. And you, in your article, Miles, you right away address that, like, it's like it kind of vaguely is, and that's what a lot of people are mad at Miles online. If you haven't seen this over his article, it's like a review. Would you call your article like a review of this movie, or just like a peek into?
It's a review,
of the movie,
and kind of addressing what audiences have been drawn to it and why.
Yeah, so people are really mad at you over this, and. Like, I'm sure there is some truth to a lot of this stuff. Like, they show some clips at the end of like recreations of actual busts, but that I believe were in the movie.
It's so funny because it's like a 1 second clip. It's like they go from the scene in the movie to fade into some guys running on a beach with guns. And it's like, Google exists, right? You didn't tell us that we have to use DuckDuckGo to learn about this movie, and so you're gonna have to try a little harder because people are gonna like look up some of this stuff, and it's really like this is the height of QAnon's success. Like the movie is not going to spawn like other movies like it. It's obviously a ripoff of Taken. It's a ripoff of Extraction. It's not a like serious or enjoyable film, even if you are watching it in a theater in stunning 4K resolution. I don't think that you.
I don't know. It sounds like the audiences in Caleb's and Miles's theaters really loved it.
Well, what you have to understand too is like when they use these like security footages, some of it is, I mean, it's all out of context. Some of it may be outright fabricated. I don't know, but like when I made the joke about like Janet the Psychic earlier, I don't know if you guys know this, Miles. You probably do because it was in your article. But like that beach raid was a real raid that they did and came up with nothing and actually got chased out of the village at gunpoint because
wait, are you kidding me?
No, this is fucking real. So he has this whole drop team ready to go into this village, and everybody's waiting for him to kind of give the go. And then everybody starts to slowly find out that his source for this child that they're looking for, the Garby child, I can't remember his first name, but the source for where this child was a fucking psychic. And they all found out. So they had like this like fake medical team go in, and then the locals were like getting suspicious. And I guess there was a rumor going around town that there was some sort of like virus going around, and these people with like guns were trying to figure out who had the virus. So the villagers got freaked out and actually chased this guy, his organization, out of town at gunpoint.
Oh my god!
Like that's
So that's like the scene.
Yeah, incredible. And so the thing is too is they do these raids. Some of them, I don't know. Again, I couldn't tell you what they showed in the movie was actually real or not. But they do these raids all the time, and there's always so many cameras all the time. And like if you read about this organization of his, everyone's like, this is a circus. This is going to get people hurt. This is going to get people killed because this is more about the photo op and about Tim Ballard kind of like self-aggrandizing more than it is. And they go and they swing and miss on actually trying to extract these children, and then you find out it's because he had his source was a psychic, or he was trusting his gut, or one of the people that he had gotten the information from, I think in one case was like a buddy of his or something like that I don't quite. There's a really long Vice article I think we should put in. It was like in 2020.
Yeah, Anna Merlin at Vice has done really great reporting about this group, which is called Operation Underground Railroad.
Yeah,
and
that's Tim Ballard's. Yeah,
they've just lied about a lot of what they've done. I mean, there's other cases of them claiming they have saved someone from human trafficking, and then that victim themselves are like, "What are you talking about? You had nothing to do with this."
Yeah, I escaped myself.
Was one of them. Yeah.
Like, or what they'll do in some cases is like to get a press release, they'll give like a donation to some local municipality, and then when they extract some sort of child or there's some sort of rescue, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, that was us. They used our funding and our assets to get this or whatever." And I think in one case it was as little as like $1,500 donation or something like that. So,
and I will say that they've also been criticized for their tactics, like actually increasing demand for trafficking victims, because they'll just like parachute into whatever kind of community, go to a really sketchy bar and just start asking for underage women. And so then the people there are like, "Oh, I guess we better go traffic someone for these rich American tourists."
That's a big. That was a thing I learned from what the fuck is his name? Malcolm Gladwell, the guy who's never done anything wrong. But Malcolm Gladwell had a whole thing about like how there was a problem with cobras in some neighborhood or something in like India, and so in order to get rid of the cobras, they would give you like $100 every time you killed a cobra. So what people started doing is they started keeping
cobra farms.
cobra farms, and separate from their mongoose farms, and they would just have the mongooses kill the cobras, bring the cobras, get the money. And that's basically what the, I guess, fake Navy SEALs are doing in Honduras, is like, tienes niños, me gusta niños, porfa. Because again, the Spanish in this film is
woof.
Yeah, not great.
I don't even speak it, and I was cringing.
I'm going to tell you right now, if you've been like, hey, I actually understand a lot of Spanish, but I have trouble speaking it because I can't conjugate the verbs. Well, I got good news for you. None of these verbs are conjugated. Everything is like, you are how old? I am 8. When were you this? I was this when I was doing this. So all the verbs are conjugated so they can be present tense. It's strong Spanish 2 vibes. You're not going to hear the subjunctive. You're not going to hear the past predicate imperfect. That is not going to happen in this film. So
I could be wrong too, but I think there are a couple of known character actors who are white just playing Latino characters.
I would believe that, but you can tell they're playing Latinos because only white guys are the good guys in this film.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy.
Let's not forget that there is an ex-cartel member.
Oh, that dude! I forget his name.
Vampiro.
Yeah.
Who is considered a good guy because he had a come to Jesus moment when he realized he had sex with a 14-year-old, and he was like, I gotta save kids.
I wonder.
It really expects you to sympathize with him in that moment. It's incredible.
That's what I'm saying. They picked 14, and I think that's an interesting, like, well, it wasn't like a 10-year-old, it's still a teenager. Like, do you think that was like an intentional choice for them to make? You could still sympathize with somebody if you're in that mindset.
I can't believe they don't go 16, which I think is like the libertarian.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go 16. I actually, when he was telling that story, I thought they were going to go 18, and he was just kind of like, she had been doing it. Yeah, she had been doing it for years. She'd been doing it since she was 6 years old. And I thought about my daughter or something. I didn't think he would be like, I mistook a 14-year-old for a 25-year-old. If you walk around any public space and all you do is you ask strangers, hey, how old are you? The 14-year-olds will be indistinguishable from the 11-year-olds to most people. Like, you are fucking. The dude claims in the movie that he thought she was 20 or 25, but she was 14. And
that's what I was kind of saying. Like, they picked that number, and it's like, it was an interesting choice.
I would never mistake a second-year grad student for an 8th grader. You know what I mean? That's never happened to me.
What's awesome is so Angel Studios, which is the place that acquired and distributed this, it has a whole page about what's fact and what's fiction in the movie, and it actually does admit a surprising amount of like the fake stuff, you know, especially the ending and all that stuff. But when it gets to Vampiro, they're like, oh yeah, that's a real guy. We can't tell you his real name. Trust us. But also he never had sex with a 14-year-old. Just so you know.
Oh yeah,
Jesus
so we
Christ.
were lying about all of that other stuff, but we were being truthful now. So you can definitely trust that the guy who was our source was not a pedophile. I also like that. I like that. And you know, we've been pretty kind to pseudoscience in general on this show, and I think that's a good
friends of pseudoscience.
Yeah, I think
Western
that's
Kabuki.
I think that's a good space to be in. You know, not being like all astrology is fake or whatever. And so I wanna personally apologize on behalf of this film to the psychic community, because surely one of the psychics were like, "Oh shit, you're making a movie about it? That's so cool." So they're getting all their information in order to find the kids from psychics, right? And they're like, well, that's not how it starts out. And also there's no psychics in the movie. Mostly they get their info from pedophiles. A lot of pedophiles tell them where to find the pedophiles. And that's So we're replacing the psychics with pedophiles. You are a pedophile in our movie,
and pretending to be pedophiles almost the entire film themselves.
White hat pedophiles themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the whole. That's basically what drives the entire plot. Is the main guy pretends to be a pedophile throughout pretty much all of it, which is bizarre. I think.
Very funny when they give the billionaire pedophile training too, and he ends up kissing his hand. That was a fucking insane scene.
I have
like maybe that's how some of these busts happen. Is like I don't know. Maybe you do have to pretend to do some of this shit, but like I don't know. It was very like strange.
Just
to
become the
watch.
Serpico of pedophiles. Like that's how this shit gets done.
That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a coincidence either that the movie almost opens with Caviezel himself watching child porn. Like he's just
It doesn't almost open with it. He is looking at child pornography. The camera cuts away, but he looks really concerned as he looks at these photos.
Yeah, he's always crying, or his eyes are like bloodshot from having just cried.
So the order of events, if you're watching the movie and not paying attention that much, and also playing Ocarina of Time on your Switch, I can speak from experience that you will pretty much assume this guy is a pedophile for the first half of the movie. And that he will somehow get some comeuppance because it's like he makes the child bust. He has the child pornography. He looks concerned at it. Next scene, he tells a pedophile, "Hey, man, I'm also a pedophile. Let's link up." Then he goes to South America and is just like walking around like, "Hey, what's up, guys? I'm #1 pedo looking for some kids. What's going on?"
He says, no, the phrase pedo action is just thrown around totally willy-nilly.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that caught me off guard when that was said for the first time. Let's go through. So let's go through the whole like plot of the film.
Can I
let's
add one quick thing before we do that?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that like there is a little kind of almost throwaway sentence from that Vice article that I found shocking that there wasn't more about it. There was two people that had taken their jump training or whatever and was like, here, let me pull up the quote. But basically he was saying, the leader talked about its operators being sexually tempted by the victims they were supposedly out to save. And
what the fuck?
So like
that's deep cover, baby. They got into deep.
Yeah, I just not to criticize the article or something. It seems like that might be something if you can get more information on would be a little bit relevant. But you're also dealing with anonymous sources and whatnot for all this. You can only get so much out of it. But it just was like, holy shit! While I was reading this,
Yeah, and I think I should say too. My article doesn't totally get into this, but I find the movie to be itself and a lot of the people who believe in it and support it are fantasizing about child abuse in a really sicko way. Like the movie itself functions as I think like child porn because you get to see these really kind of lushly shot kind of preludes to horrible abuse, and it really has this lingering, disgusting fetishization of everything that's happening. Where you're supposedly the audience is supposed to be shocked, but my audience of boomers were all kind of like moaning in a disgusting way.
Yeah,
whenever something like that happened.
This is a version of child pornography for guys who just really love the Jason Bourne sequels. It's like like. This movie is also, it very, very obviously has a very specific goal.
It's like Miles, the fucking albino guy from the Da Vinci Code flogging himself because he likes child porn watching this in the audience. You know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah. They want you to be like...
It's so lurid and gross, and you're supposed to kind of wallow in this like depravity. Like if you wanted to make a movie about people who saved... like trafficked children, you could do it with like one very brief kind of allusion to like the horrible things that happen to kids. This does it over and over and over of just like an adult cornering a kid or having a scene alone with the kid. Why?
Or showing them beat children in some instances.
Yeah, they want to see it. I think that's my takeaway.
I mean, the vibe is lurid, you know, the like the feeling, that scene where Jim Caviezel is pretending to be a pedophile at the all pedophile resort that he helped set up, which I don't know how
the Six Flags for pedophiles or whatever.
There's already one in Bangkok, but we had to get one set up in fucking Cabo.
They're like the hotel. They're like the hotels in John Wick, but just for pedos.
Yeah,
God.
it's so crazy. And as you alluded in your article, Miles, the audience for this movie is very obviously meant to be the uninitiated, unpilled boomer who can still be pilled. This is an attempt to turn more people toward QAnon by being a generally normal movie in the way that, like, specifically Extraction and Taken are normal movies. But
yeah, because I mean, it really was like, I mean, when I was watching it, like, I was mostly bored, but I was kind of because I've heard a lot about the movie and I've read, of course, a little bit about it, but I was like, this is like kind of more normal than, I mean, it's in a lot of ways, it's not normal with how you guys described a lot of the scenes, but like I was expecting a little bit different, I guess. I don't know. To me, it is like a more of a, like, it definitely is a film that, I mean, and we've seen its success. I think I saw today it passed like 40 million in the box office. Like, it definitely is, like, it's clearly not something that Ben Shapiro or like the Daily Wire would make, where it's like, oh, okay, like this is very clearly like a right-wing funded operation. Like, I think this one is, but like it doesn't have the same vibe, if you know what I mean. Like, it doesn't have like the Ben Shapiro touch.
I thought I was gonna so the reason that I took not one but two edibles in my car before seeing this fucking monstrosity was because I thought I was gonna get like a Kevin Sorbo caliber like movie that was so shitty and dumb that I could laugh at it. This was different. I mean, it was just a fucking miserable goddamn vibe.
Yeah,
and yeah,
there's nothing to laugh
at. It's super just. It's a religious movie, also. Like, I should say, and go ahead. No, I was gonna say, like, I don't want to be like, in fairness to the filmmakers, because I don't believe in that, but they did apparently finish this movie in like 2018, which, if you think about it, is really before the mainstreaming of QAnon. Like, QAnon was a pretty nascent thing back then. So
if they had gotten the contract with Netflix too, it could have been like Extraction came out in like 2019, so they could have had like a 1-2. Like, if you enjoyed Extraction, you would enjoy the Sound of Freedom.
It would have been different. Like, it would have been different. The problem is that, yes, like, Caviezel himself is a guy who believes in QAnon and actually thinks that like adrenochrome is being extracted from children, and he has talked about this on his press tour extensively. So it's really difficult to like separate the art, quote unquote, from what the star is saying. And he's saying, you know, he gave an interview with on Steve Bannon's show in which he sort of even seemed to suggest that we were going to see like the adrenochrome farms in this movie, which would have been a way more insane film, actually. Like, I think what you're seeing on screen is pretty disgusting as it is, but Caviezel, you can tell, would rather go whole hog and actually be like, oh, they're harvesting organs from children. Like, it goes way beyond sexual abuse.
He definitely wishes it was way more intense than it turned out to be.
I can only assume.
This is what makes it such a strong recruiting tool, is because it's just sex. And the idea that, because like there's like title cards at the end that are like, there are more people in bondage now than when slavery was legal, which is the wording they use at the end title credit. But it's like, yeah, but there's like 50 million times more people. Like, it's a very different discussion. And also, you are equating any type of forced labor with sex trafficking, which are not the same thing. And this movie, of course, doesn't cover the real sex trafficking that happens in America, which is typically an immigrant being forced into a sexual relationship with somebody who employs them. in order
or
to
even
have
the
them,
kind of
like,
trafficking that is like a parent who doesn't have custody stealing their kid. Like that's trafficking.
and
That's, if I remember correctly, that's like a lot of instances in America.
That's most trafficking. So like,
yeah, at least that I mean, of course, that we know of.
But that includes so many different definitions. But even like the scariest version of sex trafficking in this country is somebody is employed as a hotel maid, as somebody who does nails. They don't speak very good English. They are being employed also either as a prostitute, or they're being forced to have sex with a person who employs them. And they're forced to do labor to pay off some type of debt, like an indentured servant. That is a very different prospect than stealing 8-year-olds while they're at daycare and selling them to the Colombian cartels. And I'll tell you right now about the Colombian cartels. They're basically the Colombian government, and they aren't doing any of that. They're like regular. They're just selling cocaine. It's like, it's such a gross misrepresentation of what any of this is, and still is not as absurdly lurid as I thought it was going to be. As Caleb had said, I thought this was going to be like a Daily Wire thing. I thought it was going to be like My Son Hunter. If anybody saw that, I thought it was going to be quick cuts, lot of shit, a voiceover explaining other types of things, and putting out there like all these stats and numbers and figures.
The
and
Adam
stuff.
McKay human trafficking movie.
Yeah, that's yeah, but that's been like the between that and like Jumanji, basically the new Jumanji movies, it's either like a raunchy action comedy, which I thought it would kind of be, or it is this sort of maudlin, bogged down and like so many facts and figures and things you need to do to even understand what's happening in the movie, and it's all nonsense and fake anyway. Like My Son Hunter has like links in the movie, like go here to learn more about it.
Oh, that's amazing.
And
that's awesome.
That's what I thought we would see here. So in that way, like,
They do throw out fake statistics, but yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you probably did, Miles, but did the version that you guys saw, Whack and June, did it have the MCU style post credit scene? Did you guys get to see that?
No,
Miles, did you see that in your theater?
No, I think I just saw the title cards we were just talking about.
Oh, dude, you guys.
There's a post-credit scene.
To tease the sequel?
No. So, dude, okay, fuck. Okay, so in my theater, as soon as the credits started rolling, I was kind of waiting because, you know, I was in the very back and it's an older crowd. Let them filter out first. But then on the bottom right, it's like 2 minutes until a special announcement. So I was like, fuck, I'm going to stay for this, right? And it turns out it's just like the cast of the movie talking about how they don't want you to see this movie. We've been working on this for 5 years.
Yeah.
And every conceivable roadblock from them. And it doesn't actually say like that most of the reasons that this movie was delayed was part of it was COVID and just like funding and stuff. But it was like, oh no, like he at one point gets teary explaining like the whole child trafficking thing. And the reason that I bring this up is A, because it was funny, but B, Whack, you touched on something a couple minutes ago that like when I was talking to this about this with a friend earlier, this is like, well, the question is like, okay, so they made a shitty movie. Why does this matter? Well, you know, Tim Ballard himself basically he kind of had a mealy mouth response about like the QAnon stuff, saying, well, maybe some of that fake stuff will bring interest into the real facts or something. But to me, this movie is very harmful because it kind of reinforces the stereotypes that people that are watching it already have of like, oh, they're expecting this to be about John Podesta or whatever. And like these people would rather have their like ARG jack off fantasy about how they're going to get extrajudicial killings of like their political enemies and drag them through the streets and all this stuff because they're hurting the mole children and blah, blah, blah. Well, that actually takes focus off of, you know, the real problem that is, you know, sex trafficking and human slavery and things of that nature. So I do think that this movie is harmful, and I do think that it is worth the scrutiny that you've given it in your piece, Miles, and some others too. And I was honestly kind of surprised to see so few critics take that route in their kind of analysis of the movie. Nobody really kind of thought about how, like, to me, that is just kind of was just kind of a sick thing.
Yeah, I think there is like production value in the film. Like, you know, you can tell a lot of money is up on the screen. In Caviezel, you have kind of like a semi-legitimate star, or he was at one point. Mira Sorvino plays his wife, and she's there for 30 seconds, which is kind of funny, because she's allegedly the reason Tim Ballard did all this stuff. And, you know, I guess a lot of the blowback on me, and I think a few other, I don't want to discount a few other people who have kind of pointed out this movie's links to QAnon and stuff, because other critics have. A lot of the blowback has to do with needing the convenient journalist who has told you this movie is a piece of shit, because then they can say, see, like, they don't want you to see it. I guess,
and that's I kind of was looking into like the quote tweets and stuff, and that is what a lot of people were saying, like, oh, look at this Miles person, like, oh, he's being paid off by Rolling Stone, I guess.
It's called having a job, first of all.
How much did quote unquote they pay you to write that article? I guess
not fucking enough. My boss, if you're listening to this, I'm asking you for a raise officially.
I'm rooting for you.
What kind of DMs, emails, etc. have you been receiving? Like, what have they said?
Some of it is straight up death threats. I'm coming to see you, pedo, kind of stuff. We're gonna talk soon. You know, some of it is, you know, I've reported a fair amount of it. A lot of it is interesting in just how like samey it is. Like, they all have the same kind of talking points. I'm also kind of amused by like how long some of the screeds are, because it'll be like 1,000-word Instagram comment or something. I'm like, well, I'm just blocking you. I'm not reading this, so I don't know what you accomplish here, except and it'll be from people who are not really active users, because it's like someone who has 2 posts, 4 followers, and their entire account is just like screaming at other people. So I don't really know like how they're using social media. It's a little confusing to me.
And their account is like July 2023 created. It's brand fucking new, and they're like all of their things.
Well, that's a good thing to point out, because my Twitter account is from June 2023, because I've been banned a couple times, and one of these guys noticed that, and he goes, pedobot account started June 2023, already has 2,000 followers.
Hell yeah, dude.
But I love too, because it's like nobody could ever have one viral post pop off and get 2K followers off of it. It's like you have to be a pedobot that is
like a bot that is there, a bot that is programmed by pedophiles and has a byline at Rolling Stone, etc. Like, you know,
going back
let's
years.
Be clear, like, yeah, but like let's be like, your article. I think we all read your article. Like, it's mostly just like a review of the film and like the connections that some of the people involved with the film has. You didn't like endorse the actions of the people they arrested in the film. Like, that's not anything that you said. But like the people who were kind of going after you, it's like clearly didn't read it and were like, oh, this person endorses the actions of the evil people in the film. Like that's like very clearly what, at least what I could see, they treated you like.
I will slightly disagree, because about not reading it, because it was the number 1 story over the past week on the entire website.
Oh, nice.
Which means I think people were. This is part of the right's whole thing, right? It's like they're not particularly good at boycotts. They
get too curious.
They end up really supporting the thing they're mad about, and it's because they want to go read it. And I did have, I wouldn't say I had people like quoting exact parts of it back to me, but in some cases there were, especially as regards what I said about old people, which, you know, maybe it was a little mean of me, but whatever, I don't care.
I mean, it was accurate down to the point when you were talking about like the murmuring and the coughing. Like, yes, that was my exact experience. Coughing fits all the time.
The overwhelming bad faith response, I would say, is, oh, so you're saying child trafficking doesn't exist? It's all a conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. And no, no, I wasn't saying that, of course. B, I could have maybe included a sentence in the review where I'm like, you know, just to clarify, I don't agree with trafficking at all. I think it's bad and I think it exists. But they wouldn't have even like given me credit for that. That's the other thing. It's like all this shit would have happened anyway. It does not matter if I included that caveat or not.
Do you really have to say that, right? Like, is that a clarification a journalist really needs to make?
I would actually, you know, that's not a journalist's job, but I do think it's a big weakness of the film that they never explain why pedophilia is bad. They just assume that the audience is going along with their political message, and I think that's...
Oh God.
I don't actually believe that, but I will say that there are coughing fits in the Rip that me and Juniper watched as well.
No. There was. Yeah.
People were just hacking up a lung in there.
I love that that's consistent between every viewing experience that we had. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, the guy that was sitting in front of me.
Of COVID.
Well, that's what I was going to say. First of all, it's like I was thinking if somebody in this theater has COVID, it's going to be a bad deal. But like the guy in front of me was like, he wasn't being rude. He just was, you know, very geriatric. He's one of those guys that was like, because he's so deaf, he doesn't realize how loud he is. So every like fucking 7 minutes, he'd be like yelling at his wife and she'd have to shush him.
Oh my God.
It was
These
awesome.
people were into
it.
Damn. All right. I think we should. We still haven't like finished summarizing the film. I feel like we should just do it just so. Yeah, so it's kind of hard because like not like it's 2 hours, but like not too much happens in those 2 hours.
Where we left off, the cop had unsupervised access to the child and was buying him hamburgers.
Well, let me explain like 1 hour of the film in about 3 sentences.
Yeah, there's like there's 3 main portions to the film.
So this guy who works for Department of Homeland Security turns out to be a border agent, but he was put onto a child trafficking ring. Or child trafficking case that led him to discover a child trafficking ring. He got in good with one of the pedophiles within the community by claiming to be a pedophile. He then is led to the location of his pedophilia dealer and gets the image of a child. That child, days later or months later, not made clear, is inside of the back seat of another guy who looks like a pedophile. So if you just, and I'm going to borrow a joke format from Pete Holmes, close your eyes and picture a pedophile. You got the first pedophile. Close your eyes and picture a second pedophile. You've got it. The first one has a terrible haircut with bad glasses and a creepy mustache. The second one is a fat, bald guy with very small glasses.
Also a mustache, I think.
Also a mustache.
Absolutely.
But gray.
Rescuing this child leads him to a mission in which he learns that this child's sister has also been taken. They got taken in a staged acting class type of your kid could be a star thing, and then all those kids got trafficked. And then he dedicates his life to finding the sister. He helps set up a fake hotel that is supposed to be the new headquarters, a members-only club for rich pedophiles. But he's setting up a sting. He makes one of the guys a fall guy, and he gets fake arrested himself in order to stay in the good graces of the other pedophiles. And then...
So that's on the island, right?
Yes.
Like you're talking about the island bus?
All while his boss at DHS is like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah.
And who was his
like,
boss?
call
That
us in.
actor. I know that fucking actor. Who was it?
I also recognize
I personally
him.
don't know.
I'm looking.
Have no
it up.
idea.
I hope he's not a weird QAnon guy too, because he's a pretty good character actor.
I'm gonna assume that was just a paycheck.
I think so too. Yeah.
Well, Vampiro, Bill Camp, that's got to be just a paycheck too.
Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy who I'm like, he's not Latino, is he?
So the second portion is that island bust operation. And I don't know if it's true to fact, but in that bust, he does get arrested, like with everyone, as Whack, you said, to stay in the good graces, and they save like 50 children, if I remember correctly. It's
54.
It's like close to 50. Yeah, a lot of kids.
But not the girl.
Not the sister, which is his like main goal for some he cares more about the one girl than the 50
with the dozens
kids.
of kids he's rescued.
He's fucking he's honestly, not only is he not happy, he's pissed off about it. He's like,
he made the hamburger promise.
Yeah.
Oh my god, when he says to the kid, "Do you quieres un hamburguesa?" and they go to a restaurant.
Flashback to 7th grade, dude. Like, I was like,
they go to a
stop.
restaurant, and you better fucking believe the restaurant is called American Burgers.
Let's go. Let's go.
That went pretty hard, I have to say. Great choice. A fantastic choice by the filmmakers.
When she asks me what I want for dinner, it's always American Burgers. The actor's name was Kurt Fuller. You will recognize him from Ghostbusters 2, Anger Management, The Frozen Ground, underrated straight-to-VOD Nicolas Cage film. He was Rachel McAdams' dad in Midnight in Paris. He's been on fucking tons and
Quite a
tons
bit.
of shit.
He rocks.
Yeah.
I'm uncanceling him.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm on the pedophiles Wikipedia page.
You know where I recognize him most? I was subbing for a health class teacher, which was the worst teaching gig I ever had. Was subbing like.
Wow, you just have to groom the children. How hard is it?
Maternity leave for a health class teacher, and she thought she was doing me a favor because she was like, "I am not like the other teachers. I have 9 periods of the same subject, all with high school freshmen. So it's going to be easy. You will just do the same thing with them for 6 hours in a day."
That sounds awful.
And what she left me was a movie to watch. And that movie was Will Smith's The Pursuit of Happiness. And I have seen the first 40 minutes of The Pursuit of Happiness probably a dozen times in a week.
It just gets better.
This is entirely unrelated, but I just back in my 9th grade health class, there's something cursed about health classes. Like that sounds kind of like a torturous experience that you had where you relived the same 45 minutes for the entire day. I don't even remember how this happened, but in my health class in 9th grade, at one point, one of my classmates made the teacher cry over something. So health classes, 9th grade health classes, bad news.
My 9th grade
Don't trust them.
My 9th grade health class, we learned about both menstruation and menopause from separate special episodes of the Bill Cosby Show.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis would not like that. That would be, they would confiscate that material. That's grooming.
I did show some kids when I was subbing for a health teacher. I showed them some anti-drug stuff. And it was like crazier than I remember Dare from when I was a kid. And I was like, why is this so insane? They were like, we're talking to somebody who overdosed on marijuana and died illegally for 3 minutes. And
died illegally.
Yeah.
Wait. No, you know what we're coming around to is Sound of Freedom is going to be shown in health classes for years to come.
I think it will. I think it will 1,000%
to warn children about trafficking.
Because some health teachers are. I was a social studies teacher. Health teachers are less qualified than social studies teachers, and it is like they don't need to do any fucking thing. And like in a health class, I showed Pursuit of Happiness. Why? Because of the importance of something or whatever. I'm not totally sure. But they tell you about penises, they tell you about vaginas, but that's such a small portion of it because the rest of it is just them being like, you could get AIDS from a fight in school. You could get AIDS if you get to a fight. And I was like watching one of these videos, like showing it to the kids, and I was like, I paused it in the middle. None of them were paying attention, by the way. I wasn't indoctrinating anybody. They did not give a shit.
Phone time.
And I was like, what are we do we think about this, guys? And they're like, I couldn't tell you anything about this. I couldn't tell you anything about this film. But then I looked up the production company, and it was a company that is wholly owned and operated by the Church of Scientology.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, Will Smith.
That Tom Cruise money was involved.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And I knew that. Well, that's funny, yeah. But I knew this.
Is he a Scientologist?
No, he's like publicly not, but he's like friends with Scientologists, and he appears to believe everything that they believe. I don't know. But this was just a coincidence. I knew this teacher had no idea this was Scientology. I just know that she was just doing whatever to get through the day.
And Sound of Freedom is basically distributed by like the Mormon Scientologists.
I think, 100%. And this Angel production company claims they're not church or politically affiliated. They claim to be
but they're
totally
Mormons. They're
independent,
completely Mormon pills.
And psychotic QAnon, like right wingers and stuff too. I mean, they're not apolitical at all.
Yeah, I think this was like a convenient buy for them because nobody, like Amazon and Netflix, didn't want it, and it has the religious angle. Caviezel is Catholic, so who knows what he thinks about Mormons. It's probably really offensive in a way. He probably knows a slur for Mormons that we've never heard.
I'm gonna say
said it, yeah.
I'm gonna say that the Mormons also have a slur for Catholics that we've never heard.
And I'm ready.
This was a honor among thieves situation. This whole movie, like they.
Yeah, and the evangelists are into it now too, so they all get in on it.
Yeah, like when we were deciding on talking about this, I like what really made me stick in my mind is like I saw Donald Trump on Truth Social posting about this film, like literally, like whatever holidays
but blaming
coming
it
up
on
next,
Ben Carson for some reason.
Yeah, he didn't want to take ownership.
Right,
Hey, my boy Ben wants y'all to watch this. Peace
I'm
out.
not watching this shit. Trump is like, I'm watching Bloodsport again. Fuck off.
Yeah, that was a really weird post of his. But whatever holiday, whatever like family events coming up next, like your weird conservative uncle, your grandpa, like they're going to be talking about this film. They'll be like, hey, have you seen Sound of Freedom? Like people are going to be talking about this. Like it's kind of crazy just how well it's doing, because like right-wing, especially right-wing religious films tend to not do very well, and they never really have, as far as I'm aware. Like Passion of the Christ, of course, is one that comes to mind that did do really well, but like other than that, like this one, I can't really think of too many. Like it's kind of a weird lightning in a bottle moment for the right-wingers, and I think they're gonna think that this is like an awakening moment, but I don't know. There was a lot of weird things too. I think you covered in your article where they did like a pay it forward, like the Angel Studios did a pay it forward type thing where they bought a ton of, or some people bought a bunch of tickets at theaters, and you could just like claim a ticket and go watch the movie.
You can go on the site and buy a ticket for someone else who can't afford it, presumably. But that means you can just go on the site and get a free ticket. And then I saw, this is really funny. So there's a subreddit for people who work at movie theaters, which I highly recommend. Movie theater employees, I think it's called. And they had so many threads complaining about this movie and the demographic it drew in, specifically because people kept coming up and being like, I got my ticket on angelstudios.com. And they're like, we don't know what the fuck that is. What are you talking about?
Well, did you see, I didn't really get into this, but part of the reason this movie had sold so well is in that final cut scene is they do like the, I guess, conservative boomer version of like e-begging. And they have like, go to angelstudios.com.
Oh, Angel is all crowdfunded. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have a deal there where you can like buy tickets for other people. And like, even if you don't know, there's like, just if you like want to support the mission of what we're doing, and if you want to own the libs, go to this website and you can actually pay for a ticket for a stranger. You can even buy up to 5 tickets for strangers. So it's selling like hotcakes on there. So I have a feeling they're probably all.
I'm going to quote unquote see this movie so many times, and I encourage our audience to do the same.
Yeah, claim those.
Getting
tickets.
those seats at the Trump rally.
Yeah, that was
I wouldn't.
That was that troll that they did a few years back
the Gen Z kids.
Yeah.
That's
the
right.
Turning Point USA thing where they all reserved tickets to a free event because it didn't location restrict you. And so Charlie Kirk showed up to like a basically empty arena that they like.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was awesome.
Yeah,
they were like.
Do we think we should talk about the third act of this film because it is fucking rip shit?
It really does go off.
Let's wrap up the plot of the film.
So, Act 3, I will say this was my big issue with the pacing. It seemed like the end of the movie was when they liberated 54 kids from the pedophile haven. That seemed like a massive W that was stuck in when there was still 35 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah, because like the big thing with that one too is like, oh, they caught like the lady that trafficked a bunch of kids at the beginning.
Who looks
that we
like
saw.
Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, like they like got all the setup villains. Like they got them all. So it's like, how is there still 30 minutes to this film?
That woman is based on a true Colombian beauty queen who was a trafficker, but they gave her a name like Giselle just to make her sound like Ghislaine, I think.
Amazing.
Seemingly. That could have been an afterthought, but I don't know.
I believe it.
Well, the problem is that the guy is like fake arrested. Tim Ballard is fake arrested. And so now they haven't rescued the girl. And so this is when he leaves the Department of Homeland Security and he's going to be the renegade cop who doesn't play by the rules. And he's going to fuck the departmental red tape. I'm going to find these kids. But it's just like one kid. So then he's like, I got to get even deeper in the pedophile community without any support. And his wife is just like,
go for it, honey.
Sounds good. Do what you got.
I'll take care of our 45 children at home.
How many kids do they have? Is it like, it looked at the end because they put like a family photo. It looks like 7, but
I'm saying conservatively it's 9, probably more since.
Yeah. It's some real freaky Mormon shit going on. Oh my God. If you Google Tim Ballard, the first thing that comes up after his IMDb page is the Operation Underground Railroad Wikipedia page.
Ooh, 9 children. I got it exactly right. 9.
Wow.
Oh, hell yeah.
Jesus
Nice.
Christ. All right.
He kind of goes under the radar. He is this where he starts to set up that hotel, or was that, I forget?
The
was
hotel
that
was to catch the other
bit?
one. That was the first.
Okay.
This is where he and Vampiro disguise themselves as doctors to go bring a vaccine up the river to guerrilla militants who have the girl.
That's right.
Where do we think?
Yeah,
we think this film?
They claim to be UN.
Yeah.
Doctors.
So they're UN doctors who are vaccinating children from cholera. Where do we think this film falls on the spectrum of vaccine pro versus anti?
There was a big chuckle in my audience when they said they're going to pose as doctors doing fake vaccine work.
Oh my God. That seems perfect for the conspiracy brain, because of course the same, like, this is the exact audience that we've seen in polls. Like, we've seen, like, I don't know if you guys have paid attention, but in America specifically, less Americans trust like MMR vaccines and like all vaccines in general. Like, it's at like the lowest point in several decades. And that, I feel like the audience for this film is the exact type of audience or like the exact type of person that would be in that poll and be like, no, I'm against the MMR vaccine.
Yeah. And the other thing, before they even get the fake vaccines or real vaccines that they don't give to the kids, I saw this scene less than 2 hours ago, and I cannot recall which of those two is correct. But they
don't establish it either way.
That's the thing, yeah. Alex, earlier you said like, oh, it's hard to, like, you didn't really know what we were talking about. It's like the movie doesn't do a whole lot to really like set much stuff up. It, like, a lot of things just kind of like happen.
Yeah.
They're vibing.
They are vibing. Big vibes up there. Because especially when he like finds the little girl in the village with the vaccines and the guy is like, "Oh, is she sick?" He's like, "No, she's fine." It's like, why not just say she's sick so you could take her? What are you talking about?
You've got the cover, dude. Stop blowing it.
But yeah, they bring the vaccines, and also when they get the vaccines, they get an injectable tracking device, which is such a beautiful detail that they're given a bunch of syringes, a bunch of plungers, a bunch of needles, and they are then given to tracking devices so that their associates can find them if they die. And it's in like a hypodermic needle. It's like he says you can inject it or you can just put it in your pocket.
I would go pocket. I would go pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I would go pocket.
Absolutely going pocket on that one.
Yeah.
But it's so clearly like the Bill Gates tracking device, like a nod to it right before being like, we're going to vaccinate these kids, but not really. We're secretly with the CIA.
They're really depending on you to pick up a lot of conspiracist subtext through the action of the film, where they're like, we're not going to spell this out for you because you know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and so they get like raided by some other guys on a boat who takes Jim Caviezel, and then his partner is like, well, how did that go down exactly?
They're like, only one of you can come.
But why?
For some reason.
For
I don't know.
No, again, because that's how it happened in real life. And then I think that's the last time you saw, what was it, Vampiro?
No. Yeah, he just disappears completely gone.
He's just gone from the movie.
They reunite after.
They do?
After Tim. Yeah.
I'm going to take your
Did I
word.
miss this?
I'm going to take your word on that.
Yeah, I don't remember this. I literally saw this an hour ago.
Shit. No, you're right. When they have the little girl in the little hospital scene.
There's kind of a chase
in the car.
where they run back.
In the chase scene.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, like he's like in the village for a while. He's like partying with the people in the village or something.
Yeah, he's drinking.
Like,
they're playing guitar. They're singing folk songs. It's like call and response songs, and the kids.
He's
like
trying to make good with the militants whose leader has bought the girl.
Yeah,
and then he's under cover of night. He's going to go steal her.
Yeah, so what he does is he breaks into this child's room, covers her mouth, and tells her not to scream. He's the good guy of the film, by the way, but
he's crushing it.
She's so visibly terrified. It's a very visceral 3 seconds of the movie where he is like manhandling this little girl and like trying to cover her mouth, and then he like explains to her in really bad Spanish, estoy okay, and she's like, oh great, cool, thank you. and
they'll kill us both if you don't shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Los dos muertes, si yellow. That's like what he's and yeah, so the scene is weird because they stop playing music, and then the guy who bought the girl goes and checks on the girl because he heard her scream. Jim Caviezel is under the bed, watches this thing where she's like, I had a bad dream. He's like, oh, sleep well, and then goes back outside.
He like tries to the militant tries to abuse her, and Caviezel's just kind of pop.
Attention.
He's like, I'll make it so you don't have a nightmare, and it's just like yet another
fuck, that's right. Because she closes her eyes.
Scene. Yeah.
She closes her eyes and the screen goes black. So the entire fight scene is totally in blackness. So if you're wondering,
you see him like choke him. Like they show Tim Ballard again. This is totally made up, but you just see Tim Ballard basically strangle the guy to death. All made up.
But the girl, we see it on camera. I thought it was just blacked out.
She doesn't see it. It's like they're attempting to do like a subjectivity thing where it's like the audience sees it, but she has her eyes closed, so she doesn't witness the horrible.
I don't remember when the screen went black.
But in the same scene, the screen goes black when she closes her eyes.
Yeah.
That's so confusing.
No, it can't really decide where it's going.
Sorry that you don't understand cinema.
It's trying to have it both ways. It's trying to have it both ways.
Because it's the only time in the film that it does that sort of POV cinema verite thing of like she closes her eyes and the screen goes black and you can hear them fighting, and then she opens them and you see like the pillow, and then she like covers like her head or whatever. It's like it's the only time in the whole movie it happens.
And also, coincidentally, when my edible was peaking.
Oh, shit.
And yeah. Every guy who has gone into the comments of his local news websites articles and been like, if I had been there, I would have cut his fucking Achilles tendon and I would have flayed his arms and then fed the skin. Like, those guys are like, ooh, this movie is really for.
You're too scared to call 100%. Your kids. You're not doing shit, dude. I know exactly the kind of guy you're talking about.
Yeah, of course. Certainly the target audience of this film is guys who do not currently have legal permission to visit their own children, but they think they're going to get it back at some point.
It's like those people, you guys remember all the people in like 2021, 2020 that were like, my children won't talk to me anymore because I believe in QAnon.
Yeah, I'm too
like,
based for my children.
I'm too...
Yeah.
Yeah.
The QAnon Thanksgiving meals that were just like a cheese stick and a bag of Doritos.
Yeah, that's the
lucky
exact
to have my
persons.
friends at least.
Yeah. This is, and you know, I've been a defender of him recently as being a different kind of guy than people think he is, but like this movie is for the cybersmith. This is for the human pet guy.
Oh, okay. I have a really funny story to tell you about that. He actually, as I was like getting ready to go inside the theater in his little kennel that we have for him on Discord, was like, he linked it. He's like, we need to demand this movie gets over to the UK or whatever. And I was like, all right, buddy. Well, I'm about to go see it in like 15 minutes. So I'll let you know how it is. And the entire time I was in the movie, he was talking about like Pizzagate shit. And then the tides turned against him when the subject of Prince Andrew came up, of course, and we got him to admit in the server that the royal family should have Andrew secretly and quietly executed, which was very funny. So
That's
our boys growing up.
That's awesome.
That's such a good cybersmith solution. This is what I've learned.
He didn't want to embarrass the royal family, but he agreed that it needed to be done.
This is what I've learned about him. He has a very coherent and cogent worldview. It is just entirely different than anyone else on television.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, like, like talking to him, he's just like, I've learned, and he thinks, he doesn't think we're on the same side, but he does think that I can be won over to his side. And so he will send me like articles about like a teacher who like molested a kid or whatever. And we'll be like, what do you think about this? And I'm like, that's not good. And he's like, public executions be brought back ? And I'm like, no, man, I don't think so.
He like, we were talking about like Jews and the Illuminati at one point, and he basically called me one of the good ones at one point. So I got
hell yeah, man.
Oh my god,
which was very funny.
Man.
Token status, finally.
You know the part in the movie where right after he rescues, when not quite the family reunion, but like the quiet moment after the shootout when he gets the girl back, is right when I read that, where he said he admitted that Prince Andrew needed to be executed, and I started laughing out loud in the theater. And then I was like, oh no, this was so high. So I started like trying to conceal my laughter, which, you know, as you know, that makes it like so much harder not to laugh. And then I just started busting up laughing at that part when it was quiet in the theater, and it was very embarrassing.
Oh no. Horrible timing, and it's all his fault.
You got a lot to make up for, Cybersmith. Human pet guy, you have a lot to answer for.
From that point that we were talking about how he was like where there was the fight scene with the girl closing her eyes. I think basically from there he takes her and is rejoined by, I keep forgetting his name, that ex-cartel
Vampiro.
guy. Yes, Vampiro. And there's like a chase scene, and there's a shootout, like they're shooting at his car or at their car, and they eventually escape and the day is saved. And I think it's like the last 15 minutes of the film is basically being that girl being reunited with her brother and the father, which are seen in like the opening scene in the film. Yeah, the Sound of Freedom, the name drop of the film is, I believe, what that tune was.
Well,
right?
so
yeah,
they're
the Sound
singing
of Freedom
or whatever, and he's like, "That's the sound of freedom."
Yeah,
and then there's a bit of a callback at the end or whatever. It's, I don't know. I
I guess it was a certified cinema moment.
Yeah, the last few
they did that right.
The last few scenes of this film are kind of a blank to me at this point. I'm too far separated having seen it.
They got their J.J. Abrams lens flare on her as she's in the her bedroom.
They did too.
Yeah, basically, I don't know. For me, this whole film was like, it wasn't like as crazy bad as I expected, but that almost made it worse because it was just boring. Like that was my whole like I finished it and I was like,
it was just a really depressing slog.
Yeah. It wasn't even like you were saying earlier, Caleb. It wasn't even like funny. It wasn't like a Ben Shapiro, Gina Carano type shit. There was nothing like really funny about it.
There's no good fight choreography. There's no like cool like helicopter gun scenes or anything. It's like
you finally are getting to the point where you're going to see a pedophile get killed and the girl closes her eyes like a coward.
Yeah, there's not much going on with the film other than like bad dialogue and like bad Spanish
and good American hamburgers.
I really hope that this movie does well enough that Tim Ballard like does a fake raid for a sequel, like is like setting up the sequel, acting like Captain America or whatever, going over to fucking
I honestly
North
hope this movie
Korea
does well enough that it shines a light on this guy because he's a fucking fraud, man.
Yeah.
The raid possibility is interesting because Tim could easily become like those guys who tried to do a coup in Venezuela and then just there's only like 4 of them.
Oh, the fishing boats,
and then they're just in the gulag.
They're gonna storm Little St. James.
But I love that one uncontacted island in the South Pacific that anytime anybody approaches it with a ship, they immediately kill everybody who steps on land. I would like them to try to go there.
I think there are children there being trafficked.
They're covering the deep underground military bases.
Guys, we have the possibility to do the funniest thing ever.
We got to do some misinformation.
It wouldn't be that hard. Honestly, it would be doable. It's within our grasp to trick that guy into going to that island.
I have some research to do. No. But yeah, no, that was I don't know. Yeah, what do you guys? What are your final thoughts on this bizarre film?
I compare it a lot, like. In politics, it has a lot in common with the movie Taken, where it like supposes that there is a secret group of non-white people who are collecting women, and we need to stop them. But
did you just call Eastern Europeans non-white?
Yeah. Not white. Albanians are POC.
All right, that's some good gatekeeping right there.
And this movie has like a political commonality with it, but it's a lot more like Extraction, which is this sort of like overblown pseudo sort of like woke white savior movie that in which a man saves a little girl from her torment. But Extraction is way better, and it's not a very good movie. So I would say just watch Extraction. Chris Hemsworth is more handsome than Jim Caviezel, and he saves the little girl a lot better than Jim Caviezel does.
Yeah, my final read on this movie is they took a real big swing. You see all the money up on the screen. They really want to get eyes on this. They want to convert people. They want to capture hearts and minds. And I think, it is a success on its own terms, partly because people can just throw money at the studio to be like, I want someone else to see it. But I don't know that they've done a great job of like sucking newcomers into this ideology. Like, even though it is sort of positioned as this gateway for people to get more red pilled and radicalized and eventually like into QAnon shit, it's clearly attracting just people who believe it already, I have to say. I don't know.
Definitely what it seems like to me.
I don't know. And I don't know that it's getting like a good percentage of folks to really kind of convert from the sort of baseline curiosity to like, I'm totally pilled now. If anything, it's just really good publicity for Tim. So congrats to him. You pulled it off.
You own the libs too.
Yeah.
He got it all.
Jim can probably, if Jim gets attached to like another couple of projects, he can probably make some mediocre bank as kind of like the star of this alt Hollywood that is sort of taking shape. Angel Studios is also crowdfunding like these big Bible epics and stuff that have collected a lot of money, so he'll probably be involved in that shit again. He'll probably and I think he's going to play Jesus again. I think Passion of the Christ 2 is going to happen.
Oh my God, is he going to get struck by lightning? I hope so. That'd be kind of funny.
Third time. So that's where we're headed.
I want to say really quickly, because I live in Philadelphia, none of the theaters in Philly are playing this movie, except for the one at the mall, which is
that's a conspiracy.
Yeah, 100%.
Basically not in Philly. But I will say this, like, every showing tomorrow is sold out. I was trying to get one of their free tickets, but like, they had a $2 million goal for the promo for this movie, and it currently has 3.8 million.
God damn.
But all the tickets are sold out. Do we think people are already trolling them and just buying up all the tickets?
I'm going to say it's teens, yeah.
It's just simply, the 10:30 p.m. show is not sold out in Marple, Pennsylvania.
Well, that's past bedtime, so...
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if it is trolling. I don't know if the teens are
I will tell you,
like,
in my area, they are all sold out for tomorrow.
I don't know. It sounds like from Miles and Caleb's showing, there was pretty decent crowds at
Question.
So
are they sold out on the Angels site, or are you going?
That's what I'm looking at. I'm not going to the. Yeah,
you get them from the theater. I bet there's still plenty.
Okay, so it's probably just people snatching up the free tickets, which is still funny.
Yes,
you should do that,
because like that's fake.
Yeah, call
right?
to action.
That's like totally fake.
What's the website? Let's get some tickets to our listeners.
It's so easy. It's angel.com.
So any Kabuki cells out there, you want to get a free ticket? There you go.
Yeah,
amazing. We're doing the Lord's work with this.
Number one movie on the 4th of July.
That's a sign of God.
That means a lot. That's a very important metric. Okay.
All
right, friends.
Well, I'm glad we all viewed that together and experienced that.
Yeah, I'm glad we did it too. Why would I not
finally
be glad
awake
that we did that?
Our next episode is going to be very red pilled.
All right, friends. Well, Miles, where can the good people find you?
My third Twitter account is at You Wouldn't Post, as in those old you wouldn't download a movie or you wouldn't download a car commercials. And my byline on Rolling Stone is just Miles Klee. Other than that, please leave me the fuck alone. I have too many notifications.
Hell yeah. Don't email this man his own address. He already knows it. Leave him alone.
Email it to us. I really hope that there are a couple. So we're getting close. We're over an hour. I would love it right now if somebody is pissed off enough at Miles to follow him to this, listen to this for an hour. Yeah, go ahead. Mail it Western Kabuki, dog. Let's hear it.
I'm on Blue Sky too, just as Mouse. That's where I'm trying to amass my clout, along with June, I think.
I think all of us. I think Blue
that's,
Sky is the flag. Is the place where we've planted our flag.
Yeah, Threads is kind of boring.
Zero harassment on Blue Sky.
Good.
At least so far.
Yeah, you can't even post about doing drugs in restaurant bathrooms on Threads. That gets removed.
You can't post whole, but you can on Blue Sky. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to not do it.
It's the Zuck. You can't trust him.
You can trust him to beat the holy shit out of Elon Musk if that ever happens. But
God, I hope so.
It's never going to happen. Especially now that you can't file a lawsuit against someone and be like, oh yeah, also I want to fight you with a cage. It's just not going to happen.
Sadly, I think you're 100% on the money. It's never going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's
but
over.
I would like if Elon posts hog as a way to like try to flex on Elon.
That's more likely than the fight at this point. Yeah.
All right.
Until
Thank
then.
you so much for listening to Western Kabuki. And I hope that we all enjoy the sequel to this, in which Tim Ballard frees the mole children from the dumbs.
Two sound, two freedom.
Two sound, two freedom. We love you. Good night.